Hi, welcome to Chad Silversmithing. Today I wanted to do something with some scrap that I had laying around. I realized I use a lot of flattened square wire of various gauges for different things. Sometimes it's nice to have something with a narrower profile when you set it on its edge, and so I squish square wire a lot. And oftentimes I'll leave a little piece of it after I'm done with my project, so I have a bunch of it laying around. And so I thought I would cut them into random shapes, all kind of angular, rectangular, or square, and make a thick band out of some 18 gauge round or 18 gauge sheet, and solder those onto it in random patterns, and we'll see how it turns out. Um, I think it'll look cool. It's kind of going to look like the brick rings that I did a long time ago. I really liked those actually, so I'll put a link up there for the video if you're interested. Um, But yeah, I think it'll be a fun one to try, so we'll see how it turns out. Before we do that, I need to thank some people. My patrons over on Patreon are my core group of supporters, and I think they're marvelous. They not only provide me with financial support, they've created a really nice environment over there where we can interact with each other and share ideas and things. So it's a really nice place. Thank you for that. The other group are my YouTube subscribers. We just passed 22,400, which is amazing. Thank you for that. And I do really appreciate the nice comments where people tell me how I've helped them or they've learned something from me. It's nice to know that some people are getting some value out of my channel. So I do also appreciate the financial contributions like the Buy Me a Coffees, the Super Thanks, people who buy my merch or my ebooks. That really helps to keep me afloat and making these videos, so I appreciate it. All right, well, let's get started on this project. So this is one of my design idea sketchbooks that are available on my merch store. The more recent ones have some different charts on the back. This one has a gauge to inches to millimeters conversion chart, which I find pretty useful. There's some other ones too. What I really like about them though is this dot matrix in the background, which is hard to see on camera, but it really makes it easier for me to draw things nicely. That's not really my strong suit. But it's a nice place to keep track of your projects. I know I've gone back and referenced a few of them in the past couple of years when I wanted to reproduce something, so it's nice. Oops, not that one. Just today. That was yesterday's. Okay, so here's what I had in mind. Something just with all different shapes and sizes of squares and rectangles soldered randomly in place on the surface, kind of Tetris together. And I cut a piece of 18 gauge. Let's see, I just kind of randomly decided on a width, so let's see how wide it is. Oh, it's pretty close to a centimeter. It's a little bit over a centimeter, but I wasn't really shooting for that. I just kind of looked at it and decided how wide I wanted it to be. So I think what I'm going to do now is make this into a band first. A lot of people, when I do something like this where I'm soldering stuff onto a band, they ask me why I don't do it flat first. And so I thought I'd address that on this one. I'm going to be soldering all sorts of different little pieces of metal on here, and some are thicker than others. And so when you go to round this out afterwards, it's going to put a lot of strain on those pieces in different spots, and some are going to give more than others because of their thickness, as well as the stiffness of the solder that holds it together. So generally, if you have a good solder joint, they'll stay on there, but you may have a heck of a time getting this thing round after you're done. So I find it easier to put it on after it's already round. But first, let's make this. I spent a little while in advance cutting little pieces of flattened square wire. Like I have lots of little end pieces of, this was originally 14 gauge probably, and here's some 12 that hasn't been flattened, but I may, if I run out, I may use some of that. But I cut up most of the flattened stuff I could find. So I have some different thicknesses and sizes and widths and shapes. So we'll see how that looks. I honestly don't know if this is going to look cool or not. I guess we'll find out. I'm just going to make a standard band here. I usually make them into a U shape like that. And I like to have a nice even seam on them, so I kind of gently curve it towards itself like this, so I can do it 90 degrees straight on. Would that be 90 degrees? I don't know, just 180 degrees. Anyway, I want it pushing together nicely with the two ends. And I already filed it pretty flat, so I think we're probably good. So we'll just spend a little time getting that lined up nice. If you haven't been to my channel before, I use hard silver sheet solder for most of my stuff, like this. I use a liquid flux that I dribble on with a dropper bottle. And my torch is a Silversmith torch. It's an acetylene air torch, so it pulls in atmospheric air through these holes to mix with the gas in the nozzle. I use a #1 tip generally. Acetylene air produces a hotter temperature than like a propane or a butane torch, but not as hot as oxyacetylene because you're not putting pure oxygen into the flame. So, all right, so we're going to use hard silver sheet solder for this, and also to put this stuff on mostly, unless I have problems, which I don't anticipate. But hey, you never know. I had problems on the last project. Okay, so let's solder this. I usually solder it from the outside and the inside on these ones just to make sure I get good seam penetration. We don't want to have a bad solder joint. What would people say? All of the other silversmiths would jeer at you and ridicule you. Can't help that. I think I have good seam penetration already, but just to be safe. I'd rather have too much than not enough. Okay, now I'm going to spend a little time getting it all cleaned up and neat with the file. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. I have quite a bit of content here, and I put out 3 videos per week, varying difficulty levels, so you get a big mix of projects, and sometimes I do some tool information or suggestions for business stuff or whatever. So there's quite a bit of content to explore here, so I'd love it if you'd like my video and subscribe to it, especially if you find some value here. Alright, that's probably pretty good. I think, to start with, well, first let's pick out some of these pieces here. I'm going to cut some little bits of solder, And I'm going to pre-melt some solder on the side of them, on one side of them. And then I'm going to be able to place them where I want and hopefully just heat the whole thing till it flows and just keep repeating that process with them in random patterns. So we'll have to see how that goes. But let's pick a few out and do that. I'm just going to use my pick to pick these up and place them on the piece. That. I don't think I got that one. All right, let's see about this. When you're soldering little tiny things to big things, you always have to focus more of the heat on the big piece because it takes longer to get that much mass up to the soldering temperature. So keep that in mind when you're choosing where to put the heat. Third hand on this situation also soaks up a lot of heat. Oops, there's a little driftiness there. Okay, pick a few more out and just keep adding them. So when you pre-melt some solder onto a piece, if you're new to this, that's called sweat soldering. You put it in a place where it needs to be before you put two pieces together to solder them together. I think I got them all. Maybe did I get that one? I don't know if I got that one. I did, and I did now. All right, let's just a little more flux on there. The flux can actually act kind of as a little bit of an adhesive while you're placing these things. If you can keep it hot, it goes through kind of a syrupy stage when you dry it. It gets all white and crusty and then gets syrupy. Now, if you've done this before, probably have an idea as to why these ones aren't falling off when I turn them upside down like that. So, if you know the answer to that, put it in the comments. I'm always, it's a good way to start a discussion about the way that solder works and things like that. So, tell me what you think, why they're not falling off there if you're new to this. Get off of there. I have some flux on my pick, so things are sticking together. Okay, I'm going to make some more of those things. You probably don't have to watch me cut those off and file the edges. It's pretty straightforward. I'll let this pickle while it's in there for a while, but it's looking pretty cool. So far I like it. Alright. Okay, so I pulled it out of the pickle, and as per requests of late, I get a lot of requests, people asking me how I clean things up prior to polishing. I use these knife edge white wheels a lot. They're silicone, abrasive in them. They're a good way to kind of smooth things out wherever you have a rough spot. Some of these taller ones, I'm going to kind of curve a little bit on the ends to make this a more comfortable ring to wear. And then we'll do the inside with the abrasive wheel first. Has a tendency to get hot when you start really grinding on it on the inside. To get rid of most of the scratches and stuff, I'm going to use a felt wheel here. This is white diamond polishing compound. So you got to take a little break now and again when you're doing this because this gets so hot it's burning me through the leather gloves. Some people keep a little bowl of water to dunk things in. This is just another felt wheel here with a smaller diameter. It doesn't have to be that, it's just what I have on hand. This is jam. Rest I'm going to do on the polishing wheel, and if you want to see that, I will eventually remake this polishing video. This is one of the very first videos I did, but here's a link to it. It's a little crude because it's like the second video I did for my YouTube channel, but it has good information. It's just probably hard to hear a little bit, so I'll be back in a few. Okay, I got things polished up. Thought about oxidizing this, but I think I'm going to let it just oxidize naturally. Still a few little bits of polishing compound in the cracks, but sometimes it's hard to get that stuff out of there in these little tiny nooks and crannies. But you could probably tumble it with some shot. It might do it. Might not get all of it though. I could use an ultrasonic maybe. Want to fire that up. But for now, let's just take a look at it. I think it came out pretty cool. I like it. It's very brutalist looking, I think. It's heavy. I think somebody will really like that. So tell me what you think. Tell me what you would have done differently. I always value your input. So I'll get some better pictures and put them at the end. Okay, well that was the random angular shape ring, or the Tetris ring, I guess we could call it if you wanted to. Um, I thought that was fun, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. If you did, make sure to hit the like button before you go. And I would love it if you'd take a moment and go back to my main channel page and visit a few more videos. I have over 500, as I've been doing them for 3 per week for about 3.5 years now. And it's accumulated quite a bit of content over there. So check it out, subscribe to my channel. Make sure to visit the video description down below as well. There's some important links there. If you want to find out more about my Patreon, there's a link to that. There's a link to buy my ebooks, which are guides to each year's tutorials on YouTube, and includes extra information, pictures, supply lists, things like that for each video. It puts a whole bunch of projects right at your fingertips, and it's a really nice way to support my channel. So check those out. And there's also a link to my merch store if you want to just get yourself one of those nice design idea sketchbooks. It's a great place to keep track of your projects. I know I've filled up 4 or 5 of them now, and I always have a reference I can go back to, so it's really nice. So thanks for watching today. Take care. Happy silversmithing.